SimWorld presents Around the Table with E and the Fat Man.
What's up, everybody? It's the B.O.B., and I'm here with Coach Dodge. That's right, I'm Coach Dodge, and I've hijacked your favorite podcast, Around the Table. Around the Table is a podcast where Big Bob and E Lava would usually talk about whatever they want. However, today, we're going to talk about what I want to talk about.
Who
Coach,
is this guy?
Coach Dodge takeover. Yeah, your voice sounded a little bit high pitched there for a minute, Bob.
Yeah,
But it's good to have you. Good to have you with us, Coach. We're glad to have you here. It's our 100th episode, kind of special. So special guests, special format, and
100 episodes.
It's your takeover.
Yes. So thank you. I appreciate you guys letting me take over your 100th episode. Super excited for you guys. Congratulations for making it to the 100th episode.
Thank you. It is exciting.
Pew, 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 pew.
So for my takeover, I just figure you've talked to Coach Bellardi, you talked to Coach Smith, you've talked to me, and now I think it's time everybody gets to know you guys. So we're going to do 21 questions with E-Lava and Big Bob.
All right, we'll see how we get through this. There may not be another 100 episodes after this, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, I figure we have about 100 minutes to get through 21 questions. So I think we can do this.
We'll go quick.
Yeah.
Bob and I are gonna. Yep, we won't over elaborate it.
So
Okay.
let's do 100 questions, 100 minutes. 100 questions, one question a minute. Let's do it.
100th episode marathon. I love it.
All right. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with you, Elava. Easy question to start with. How does it feel to have 100 episodes of your very own podcast?
It feels amazing. It's kind of crazy from show one to show now, just how much has changed, how much is the same, and just 100 episodes. It's a crazy number. I love it. It feels great. It feels like an accomplishment.
I agree. How about you, Big Bob?
It's great. I think first SimWorld podcast, and now we're the longest. Well, still. So I don't know what I'm saying. First SimWorld podcast, we're the longest running podcast. So it feels great.
Yeah.
100 episodes.
Yeah.
Love it. Congratulations. We're all really excited for you. But let's keep moving. 100 minutes. We don't have long. So question number 2. People often look at players who score the highest as being the best player in any sport. But sometimes people forget that teams can't win games without their supporting players. So while they may have one high scorer, if they don't have other skilled teammates there to support them, those teams can't win games. With that said, Big Bob, let's go to you. Who do you think SimWorld's best supporting players are? And that could be SimWorld Prep, SimWorld U, SWBA, as long as it's in SimWorld.
As long as it's in SimWorld. Does it have to be current or can it be former? You want a current? Oh well, you
Yeah,
said
it can be anybody.
Anybody. One player that I think really stood out for me and he never really got a big name was Tyrone Snyder. He's actually on your team there, Coach Dodge, in season 1. Tyrone Snyder was such a big defensive presence. Him and Victoria Sogauskas were just monsters down there, but you never really heard about him. He wasn't a scorer, but then you look at what he did in the SWU this past season for Rutgers, and I mean in the Big Ten, he was one of the leading scorers. So it just goes to show that the supporting players, I mean, they might, depending on the level and depending on what is needed, especially if they're a good role player, the role players do what needs to be done. He did what he needed to do at the prep level to get noticed, and now he's doing what he needed to do at the SimWorld U level to get noticed by the SWBA scouts. So I think for me, Tyrone Snyder is one of those unsung role players. And I think also I'm going to throw, just because I love the guy, Enzo Wolf. I'll always throw him out there. I think he does a lot for himself, and I hope season 3 in SimWorld Prep is going to be a big season for him with the North.
I'll be more succinct with my answer. It's Roderick Little for me. Starred with the Detroit Stars in the Ground Zero season, doing his thing at Duke now. He's Joe Dumars. He's an athlete, but he's built like a football player. He's got good size for a guard. He's a defensive pest. He can score. He's a winner. He's the kind of guy you want on your team. He's a plus player who wins you games. I like Rod Little.
The
Great
Rod.
answers. Yeah, love both of those
Hot rod.
answers. So, so Elov, I'm going to go back to you for this one.
Mhm.
This is a little bit tougher of a question, but
Okay.
with what we currently know of a team's roster, coaches, teams, etc., what SimWorld U team do you think is going to have the worst season?
Oh, is going to struggle this season. Oh, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm worried about Indiana, which is my own team. Mackenzie Mbako there, has all the talent in the world, hasn't quite put it together yet.
Mhm.
So we will see how it works out for IU. They've got some decent pieces there. They got Robert McGee, who is like kind of your classic Indiana player. Reminds me of Brian Sloan. Jerry Sloan's kid who used to he wasn't great, but he was like a world record holder in setting screens. Had some good fundamentals that way, but I hope I'm wrong, but I feel nervous about Indiana.
Oh,
I
that's
know, and
tough.
it breaks my heart. I know.
Yeah. How about you,
um,
Big Bob?
I don't want to agree with you. I'm not going to agree with you.
You can, it's okay.
No, I think that we're probably putting a little too much. So I'll say I think Mbako is going to probably figure it out. But I think
So
you'll have to look at the surrounding players. You mentioned some of them. I was a big Brian Wilder fan in the Ground Zero season.
yeah,
I really really liked him. They've got some they've got some potential hidden talents there. But I think I'm going to have to go with Jackson State. I just
yeah, the expectations. I get you.
yeah. The expectations are so high for them because of D Woodley. I just don't think they're going to meet those expectations at all. I
Yep.
do love, and I feel like this is a signing that kind of went underreported, unnoticed. Renzo Bryant
Yeah,
he decide
yeah,
to he's with Jackson State, and I think that
Mm.
I think he could have been. I think he's going to be a very, very good player at the next level, and I think he could
agreed.
surprise a lot of people. If it wasn't for that addition, I would
Be
bet on
more
Jackson State.
worried.
Yeah, I would be
Yeah,
more worried, but I still think where expectations are for Jackson State specifically because of D Woodley, I think they're going to be a big disappointment this season for a lot of people, and I just don't think they're going to be able to keep up with even the mid level schools in SWU.
Oh my, we might have just broken some hearts with both of your
I know.
answers, but let's move on to a question we all already know the answer to. But Big Bob, is Dara Simmons still your favorite SimWorld prep coach of all time?
Absolutely. Next question, please.
Well, no, let's go over to Elava. Do you think
Yeah.
Big Bob's
No,
love
yeah,
for
Darius
Dara
Simmons is
Simmons,
still his favorite coach of all time. Yes, that's the
do you
answer.
think it's unhealthy how much he likes Dara Simmons, though?
The heart wants what it wants.
Got it. Perfect answer. All right, so back to you, Elava, for our fifth question. What's your favorite TV series? And bonus points if you have a favorite sports TV series as well.
Favorite TV series. I mean, it comes to mind, so I'll go ahead and throw it out there. Veep, with Julia Louis Dreyfus,
Oh,
was a great show. So funny, so unafraid to like walk over boundaries to be funny. Like South Park, which is another great series that way. So, yeah, I'll say that. And for sports series, actually, I think there's been a lot of them recently. I mean, I love the Showtime Lakers thing. That was about Jerry Buss. That was great. But if I want to go old school, I'll go back to Arliss on HBO. Arliss Michaels, sports agent. Had a lot of great cameos back in the day from Gary Payton and others that I recall.
Mm.
great answers. What about you, Big Bob?
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers season 1 through 3. And going with the sports one, I would have to go with Ted Lasso.
Yeah, well,
I,
yeah,
I,
that's a
Oh,
great
I,
one.
that's a great
Great
one.
call.
yeah, Ted Lasso with Dexter being a close runner up.
For
Yes,
a
sir.
sports or just all
Yeah,
time?
Yeah, how's that?
yeah. I would go with the sports one. I do believe that. I don't know if I can say it. Yeah, I guess because this goes on YouTube, I can't say it. But hey, Bloodsport, Bloodsport.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm just
Okay, well,
saying. It's not. It's not
Yep.
against the. I mean, it is against the law, but is it really against the law to
People,
hunt
people,
human? I don't know.
people can Google what they want to
mhm,
want,
yep.
what they want. Yeah, that's on them.
Mm. Yeah, let's move on from that. Uh, so I actually asked a couple coaches for some questions to see if they had anything
Oh.
they wanted to know specifically from you guys. So, Big Bob, we're going to go to you first. This is coming from Bay Area's coach, Coach Pope. Who do you think are the most underrated players from season 2 that are poised to make a big jump in season 3?
I'm going to go back to a name that I
Mm.
mentioned earlier, and I'm going to stick with Enzo Wolf. I just think
Yes.
that
Yes.
I again, one of my favorite players in SimWorld prep history. I think once he goes to SimWorld U, he's going to really find his place. But he's such a team player. He is the perfect locker room guy. So hopefully nothing creeps out from his background once he starts moving up in the world, in the basketball world. But yeah, Enzo Wolf. I think that he just has so much talent there. They had some talented players around him this past season, especially when they went and added Mazaka there.
Mhm.
I want to say near the end of the season. It was after mid-season, I believe it was. But I there's too much talent there, and he puts too much work in for me not to expect a big jump in his talents this coming season. And with just I really I expect a lot from him. Hopefully I don't talk him up too much where I'm disappointed, but Enzo Wolf for me.
Mhm.
No,
I
no,
like that
I think that's a
too.
great answer. Love
Yeah,
Enzo
Enzo
Wolf.
is, and he came to mind for me too. And I think he particularly has a chance to rebound because look, he also is coming off of a poor season. His first season was actually better than last year statistically, and we all know he's a better player than that. And I think when he puts it together, you're going to really notice. But the two players who come to mind for me, Jordan Kausu, the Israeli guard playing for Africa. He's going to
Mm,
step into Ethan Letterman's minutes and role, where he's more coming off the bench, was more limited last year, has a lot of talent. Like I said, he's going to eat those minutes and those shots, and I think he's going to be a bigger name next year. And then the other one, Coach Dodge, I thought you might be coming back for. I think Justin McGavin with the Originators is a star in the making potentially.
absolutely.
You didn't need him that much this past year, but he's a talented young player, and I think he's going to be a featured player for whoever's calling the shots there next year on the OGs. And I expect big things from him too.
I
Hmm.
agree.
So
Having
so hold on. So you said for whoever's going to be calling the shots there, you expect their new coach to get fired?
No, no, no. I mean, I just mean
Henderson.
not Coach Dodge. I just mean not Coach Dodge. I was just
Hmm.
alluding to
Hmm.
the change of the guard there, and actually in that, I thought that might be an attraction to coming back next year was having Justin McGavin, but we'll see how he does under the new regime.
Hmm. We
Yeah,
will.
Gavin's gonna be a great player. I think that's a great answer. They're all
So
really great answers, but having been lucky enough to coach him, I know he's got a
Hmm.
lot of tricks up his sleeve that
Yeah.
people probably didn't quite realize, and he's gonna be a star one way or the other. I'm sure of it.
it's okay, Coach Henderson. E does have faith in you.
I,
He
I'm
does.
just
It's
saying,
true.
a new unproven quality in town. We'll see how it works out.
All right. Well, Elava, let's go back to you. What do you think the most fun thing about being a SimWorld Media member is, and what's the most frustrating thing? And maybe you don't have an answer for both of those, and that's fine.
No,
But
no. I mean, the best thing is for me. I love calling the games. I like being part of the
yeah,
game action. That's fun. I just enjoy that. I like typically my most of the time broadcast partner is Rick Blaze, and I love working with Rick, and that's great. And the whole production crew, around the Swiba TV, as Rick calls it, is great. So I definitely really do enjoy that. And for frustration, I don't know about frustration. If anything, probably just the off season we're in right now, right? But I mean, that's the way the planet circles around the sun, folks. I mean, that's just
Hmm.
you got to be patient sometimes.
true,
Hmm.
true. How about you, Big Bob?
Hmm. My favorite thing, my favorite thing is all the people who think they know what they know about the media when they don't really know a whole lot. Then they run their mouth, and you just sit back and you can laugh at them because they don't know what they're talking about. Um, yeah, that's my favorite thing. My least favorite thing is all the pretend hard guys out there who little Twitter fingers out there running
Oh
their mouth,
no.
and yeah, there's a whole lot of them, and yeah, it's again my least favorite thing because a lot of these guys probably wouldn't say a lot of the things that they say if they didn't have um, the screen in front of them. So
Got
yeah,
it. Got it.
Mhm.
All right. Well, Big Bob, here's what I think is a super easy question. Um, does pineapple belong on pizza?
it is what it is. It is what it is. Everybody has their own flavors. I mean, I can't disagree with anybody. The only thing I don't think goes on pizza, and I don't think it belongs in this world, is sauerkraut. But that's
Yeah, that
that's
doesn't
a
belong on anything.
that's a
Hmm.
that's a
I'm
topic.
with you.
That's a
I'm
topic
with,
for another time.
that's a different question, but I'm with you in general, Bob. I'm kind of in a tough spot because does it belong on pizza? I don't know if it belongs on pizza, but I like pineapple, and I'm not mad at it if you like it on your pizza. So I ate some pineapple earlier today. It's delicious.
Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Not sure I'm with either of you. Pineapple absolutely belongs on pizza, but it's fine.
Okay.
This is your show. We'll let you be
Hmm.
right.
It's okay. We weaseled our way out of that one.
Yeah, well, yeah.
All right. So, Elava, who do you
Yes.
think will win the 24-25 SWBA season?
Oh man, that's a good one. That's a good question. Not Boston.
Okay.
Not Boston. I mean, the West is. I think it's going to be somebody coming out of the West. I'll put it that way.
Oh,
Denver's going to be
interesting.
tough again. Minnesota, Dallas, Utah should be there. Actually, I think, and Oklahoma City on the rise. I feel like the balance of power is tilted to the West. If I had to pick one, I almost might take Denver to run it back one more time. And in this, I mean, not back to back, obviously, but in this era of their excellence, I could see them racking up another title next year. So I'll pick them.
Sure. Big Bob, I'm not sure we even need to ask you because I think you're going to say the same thing every year no matter what. But what are your thoughts?
76ers next.
Sixers.
All right.
They always got a chance. Always got a chance.
They always have a chance to lose in the second round or earlier. So
Mm, that's tough. That's, I have some favorite sports teams that do that too. So I get
mm,
it. Hurts.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's go with another Coach Pope question, Big Bob. Um, Coach Pope would like to know which returning players from season 2 might take a back seat to one of the newer recruits coming into season 3.
Hmm.
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 Hmm. That's a tough
That's a good.
question. Yeah, it's a good question. It's a tough question.
Mm-hmm.
Um. Oh man, I think because I don't really know what Southeast Select is going to do. I expect a lot from Dexter Jackson, uh, but I think he might. I just I hate to say this because I don't know what Coach Lee is doing. Um, so I just really expect anybody on Southeast Select just to not perform next season because I feel like
Hmm.
he's in such the shadows. We don't really know what's going on with that entire team. But to answer your question about which recruit, though, I feel like it would probably have to be somebody. I feel like it would have to be somebody on Philadelphia. I know that Deuce Turner just got suspended for a couple of games, but I just think the additions of like Sonny Solis and Tony Henderson, I feel like we're probably going to see Monty Parson and Jay Mills maybe take Jay Mills. I expected him to take a step forward this season, but I think he's going to come back a little bit because of some of those additions. I just think
Hmm.
for me, some of the talent that Philadelphia brought in, I think there is probably too many mouths to feed, and Coach Drees is going to have to figure out how to really balance that out. And I guess we'll see. But I'm going to say with some of the talents they brought in, I think Monty Parsons is going to take a little bit of a step back statistically, but
Mm.
but I still think he's going to be a top 3 player by season's end.
I'm gonna go along with Bob's thinking is the exact same kind of like logical process I'm following, but instead of Philly, I'm gonna throw Houston out there. We know that H Town is piling on the talent here in the recruiting period, and got Mazaka to transfer from Canada over. So who's that put the pressure on? Well, I mean H Town has a lot of roles to fill. They lost a lot of people, but Almighty Soul put up 22 points a game as a 15-year-old last year, and maybe with some more talent around, it might be hard for him to kind of statistically, I don't think anybody, me or anybody else, expects him to fall off in terms of talent. And in fact, you expect him to improve as he's getting older. But same thinking, same process makes me think Almighty Soul could be somebody who just might not get as much of a spotlight next year, even though his team situation may improve.
Good answers. I could see those all being entirely possible, even though I'm sure they don't want to hear that.
Nope.
Quickly move on and let's start talking about coaches.
Okay.
Ilava, which coach or coaches do you think are ready to move beyond SimWorld Prep, either right into SimWorld U or even up to SWBA?
Well, I have to say one of the first names that would come to mind answering this question if I was asked by anybody would be Coach Alyssa Dodge.
Well,
You've had as much success at this level as anybody has, I think. And I mean that both in terms of, racking up titles and accolades, but also importantly in terms of the recruiting job. You successfully brought in big star players, none bigger than Cooper Flagg last year, of course. And never really had a down season up there in New England. So I would say that your name absolutely comes to mind. And really, there was a discussion not long ago about like Mount Rushmore of prep coaches, and for me, the only two names that you can just nail on at this point are yours and Bradley. Bradley also has had consistent success. So I'd throw his name up there too. Your name and Coach Lee.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. I'm sure Bradley does too. Big Bob, how about you?
I'm not going to suck up to our guest host today, Eric. So
I mean,
I'm
it
gonna
is suggested.
Results speak for themselves, Bob.
Well, I'm going to go for me. Leaving out Coach Dodge, I think attitude plays a huge part in the next level. So if I balance out somebody who I think is a decent coach on the court with a decent attitude, I would have to go with Coach Kusa.
That's a great name to throw out.
I think the attitude has a huge impact on the next level, and I wouldn't want to play with somebody who I wouldn't want to play for somebody who wants to talk negatively about other people all the time. So I would say Coach Kusa for sure.
Good answer. All right. So I'm looking at the time. We're going to try and speed up just a little bit. So let's see. Back to Bob. Do you have one or two quick, interesting facts about yourself that people wouldn't know?
Oh, I get paid a lot of money to get beat up every single day by kids.
Okay.
And another, I have 5 cats and a dog.
Okay. That's a house full. All right. How about you, Ilava?
I've lived a handful of places. I've spent some time living in New York City, London, LA,
Oh.
and I have never drank a cup of coffee in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're not missing out on that much.
I've tasted it. I don't care for it.
Yeah.
He's never had a cup, but you could have had a glass. You could have had a mug.
No.
Oh.
I've never finished any kind of. I've sipped it, but never a full container, not even a teacup.
Yeah. That is interesting. Okay. All right, Ilava, back to you again. You are setting up a basketball team and scheme. Are you putting more emphasis on offense or defense? And both is not an option.
Right. I'm going to hedge. I'm going to cheat a little bit on that question. I'm actually going to say defense because defense turns into offense. So pressing, getting breaks, getting turnovers. I would go defense first for that reason.
Yep. How about you, Big Bob?
Yeah, I'd go the same. I mean, we're in a world where everybody's going to score 120 points. It's going to be that team that can slow that 120 point team down. So I would go with defense too. I agree that with something I heard a couple weeks ago that the offense is really the floor of the team and the defense is the ceiling. So I would definitely
Mm,
I would focus around defense.
Yeah, I like
I
that.
like that. All right, back to you, Big Bob. So, what SimWorld prep player do you think will have the best pro career?
Hmm. I mean, uh, it really feels like we're sucking up to our guest host today, E. But
It's hard not to
I
say
think
this name, though, isn't it?
it
Yes.
is because they are the most dominant player that we have seen in SimWorld Prep, in my opinion,
They
at
are.
every aspect of the game. Robert McGee.
Hey,
Perfect.
you
Great
you
answer.
hurt me, Bob.
No,
You
I'm just
hurt me.
kidding. No, it's got to be Cooper Flag. I mean,
Yeah.
he was unstoppable this season in SimWorld Prep. He's been unstoppable in high school. He held his own in the USA basketball practices against LeBron.
Mhm.
They had nothing but good things to say about him, and I just think he is the next generational talent in the SWBA. And I can't really I can't think of anybody else that even comes close to the talent that he has right now.
Cooper Flag is the right answer, so I won't belabor that, but I will say keep an eye on Josiah Cook. Just 15-year-old, and there was this
Mhm.
incredible crop of 15-year-olds last year, but he is something special. He is already absolutely elite on a defensive level. He's actually a decent passer, and he's useful right now on the offensive end. I think if you can refine his scoring a little bit, and he's got time to work on that through prep and college and on into pro, he he could be generational.
I
That's a lot to put on a kid, but he could be.
I can't trust an
Interesting.
injury. Even though it's just a kid, I can't trust an injury prone player.
I understand that too. I
Mm,
understand that too.
interesting. All right, back to you, Elava. Let's go into a couple fun-ish questions. Who are your top 3 to 5 favorite musicians groups?
All right, so kind of like of all time ish, and kind
Mhm.
of put it together. Let's see. I would have to put the Beatles on there. I would
Mm,
have to put a
good.
band called the American Analog Set on there, which was I don't know, slowcore. It depends what atmospheric a little bit. Out of Texas, did some interesting stuff. There's a band called Black Moth Super Rainbow. Really weird. It's a small collective of musicians around Pittsburgh. It sounds like it's electronic music, but it's all made on analog stuff. It's really
Oh,
weird.
wow.
It's really different. And then I would probably also have to say there was a hip hop group out in Oxnard, California called the Loot Pack, of which most famously Madlib was a member of, and they're pretty incredible. There's this whole sort of like West Coast jazzy hip hop thing I love. And if I was to round it out, I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that really
I'm
kind of belongs on there. I mean, I might have to throw
I'm just waiting for a real band. I'm just waiting
no,
for
I gave you the
Oh,
Beatles.
you've I mean you did give us the Beatles. Yeah, that's true.
I
And
did
then
give you the Beatles.
he gave us the Beatles and a bunch of made up
No, they're not
musicians.
made up. They're all real. I swear. I swear. Oh, and actually, no, I know the last one absolutely has to belong on there, and that is Guided by Voices, which is a lo-fi indie band that's been around since the '80s, still making music today. There's a guy named Robert Pollard who writes 2.5 minute long little just pop gems, and like seems to do it in his sleep. Those would be my bands.
I couldn't expect anything less from you, E.
I was gonna say, I was expecting things I hadn't heard of before, and I was not
Okay.
disappointed.
Okay.
All right, Bob, go ahead.
Slipknot, Eminem, Falling in Reverse, Ice Nine Kills, Chris Calico, Hobson, Brother Lynch Hung, uh, Bring Me the Horizon. Yeah, there's a lot of bands. Breaking Benjamin, 3D's Grace, there's a lot out there.
There's
There's
Tech
angry boy
Nine,
music.
so yeah, some of that stuff.
some of that I've heard of. Some of that
Yeah,
I've heard of. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of those things, and yeah, yes, yeah,
Slipknot, Lynch Hung. Yep.
yeah.
very, very different tastes. All right,
Eclectic
perfect.
between the two of us. It'd be a very interesting
Right?
radio station. Our radio station would be interesting.
Yes, it would.
And devoid of advertisers.
There you go.
Yes. So here's going to be a tough question because you guys threw this one out at me, and I believe Bellardi and probably Coach Smith too. You guys asked if we were to cook Big Bob anything to woo him, what would we cook him? So, Big Bob, if you had to cook a meal for me, what would it be? And I will give you guys a hint. I am vegan, so that makes it even harder.
Pineapple pizza.
Yeah, there we go. Oh
Perfect.
man. That's really easy. Okay, in my case, my main thing is like I'm actually as a cook wise is that I'm actually a fairly skilled with the grill. You being a vegan won't help. I actually don't really eat red meat much myself, but I will cook up a fish. That's not going to help you.
No.
So I'm thinking maybe a pasta. I actually have a nice pasta maker, so I
Oh,
can make homemade
yes.
pasta, which at least gives it a little bit of a special thing. And while I wouldn't say like baking or cake sweets is my specialty in the kitchen in any way, I can whip up a cobbler, and a cobbler is delicious. So maybe a nice berry cobbler for dessert.
Hmm.
Love it. Love both answers. They're both perfect. Italian always wins. That's perfect.
Yeah, I don't know if that was appropriate. A berry cobbler. I don't know how Coach Berry
Well,
would feel. I don't know how Coach Berry would feel about that without talking to him
it's
first.
true.
Oh, no.
It's a tribute.
All right. Just a couple more questions to get through, and we're almost done. So, Elava, your favorite
Mhm.
coach of all time, any sport, not SimWorld related, just all time favorite coach.
Robert Montgomery Knight. That one's pretty easy.
All right. Perfect. Big Bob, is it as easy for you?
Coach Dare Simmons. Next.
It is.
Okay. We will take it. All right. So, a little bit
Oh, let me give a real
fun.
answer. Sorry, let me give a real answer. Pat Chambers, former Penn State head coach, got the
Good one. He was good.
got the short end of a stick. I thought he was building something good there. Not the greatest. He's not obviously not the greatest coach of all time, but he definitely didn't get his fate.
Don't
He
have
didn't get a
to.
fair shake.
Yeah, I agree.
That's fair. All right, so this is a kind of weird question, but we're going with it anyway. So, Big Bob, Happy Gilmore is in a golf tournament, and you get to pick one non-golfer to go up against him that you think that would beat Happy Gilmore. She. Who would you pick?
Batman. He has a plan. He has a plan for a plan for a plan.
Okay, if that's hey, that works.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to take Donald Trump. I've seen YouTube videos. It's unorthodox, but he can play the game.
Charles Barkley.
Love him, hate him, he can play the game. It's really weird too. He's got a weird swing, and somehow it works.
Perfect. Love it. All right, Elava.
Steph Curry just hit a hole in one, so maybe Steph Curry too. I don't know.
That's true too.
Oh,
God, yeah, that's a
is
good one.
great answers all around. Elava, if you had to pick one basketball player to build a team around, who would it be?
Oh my. Well, first of all, are we talking any limitations, any time, any prep,
No
playing
limitations.
now, all time, anytime? Oh my God, that's so tough because I mean, I think you have to take Michael Jordan. I don't think there's any way around it, but it breaks my heart that I'm not telling you Bill Russell. So I think I have to take Jordan, though. I think I have to take Jordan.
I think it's a great
I
answer.
want to
What
win.
about yeah? What about you, Bob?
Shaq.
Did you say Shaq?
Shaq.
Peak
Okay.
Shaq is an amazing player. That's a great. Actually, I think that's a great answer too.
Imagine
Peak
Shaq.
Shaq.
Yeah.
Peak Shaq was unreal. Peak Shaq, by metrics and wins over replacement, kind of like, baseball sabermetrics stuff. You can argue at his peak, there was nothing more destructive on a basketball force than Shaq.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
Still taking Jordan.
Big Bob, favorite offensive and defensive SimWorld prep players of all time.
Favorite offensive and defensive. My favorite offensive player of all time, Jaquan Johnson. He was pretty offensive in his time with SimWorld Prep.
Oh no.
And defensive, probably Jaquan Johnson as well. He was pretty defensive. as well with all the offensive stuff that he said. So
Mm.
Jaquan Johnson on both sides of the ball.
Okay. Not the answer I was expecting, but okay. Ilava, do you have an answer?
For offense, yeah. I mean, if we're talking about who I enjoyed watching the most back in the Ground Zero season, Johnny Ballgame Baldwin, just
Oh,
attacking the rim and
You got
destroying it, looking like Daryl Dawkins out
we're gonna have
there.
to we're gonna have to cut this and we're gonna have to cut out all this sucking up. So we're gonna have to cut.
But it was.
I'm here for it.
I loved Ground Zero Johnny Baldwin. He was great. I mean, I think he had like what, that 42-point game? Was that his high water mark? He had some
I think he hit
insane.
40. I feel like he hit 45. I think he hit 45.
I was
Did
thinking
he?
45
I think
too.
he hit 45 in a loss because I think I think OGs have the top two. I think Flag hit 46, Baldwin has 45,
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah.
Cooper Kinsey
Yeah.
Cross might have had 43 or
Yeah, well,
44.
CKC is another name I thought about too for offensive player, but
Mhm.
yeah, and for defense, I mean, you know, I mean, that's a tough one, but I think I almost kind of have to come back to that man, Josiah Cook. I loved watching him this past year.
Yeah.
It was great what he did, both in terms, I mean, just like getting his hands in, like just kind of knocking balls around, getting steals as well as blocks and rebounds. I
Knocking
mean, they're
them
just,
balls.
yeah, they're knocking them around. People hate that too. That throws you off your game. So I'll take those two. Yeah.
Perfect. Great answers. Well, let's go ahead and just wrap this up. We're going to do a real quick rapid fire
Mhm.
this or that for the end. So let's
Yeah,
go ahead and start.
I don't want to put a minute limit on this, but I will say I got 8% battery life, so let's get this going.
Hey, sorry. I didn't say it was going to be short when I took over. I
No.
just wanted it would be fun. All right.
Well, guys, you know, I said I had 8% left, and 8% apparently means 8 seconds. So here we are, also in this little kerfuffle. We lost to E. So, Coach Dodge, me and E both appreciate you hopping on here and taking over the episode. We didn't really get to talk about this too much, but today is Coach Dodge's birthday. I think she just turned 22. Woo! Let's go!
Woo! Definitely 22. That is absolutely correct. All right. Well, I appreciate you for the birthday shout out. It's a good day whenever I get to hijack a podcast on my birthday. So,
Mm-hmm.
but that said, this is going to do it for this episode of Around the Table. I appreciate you guys having me on, and congratulations again on your 100th episode. And I hope everyone here enjoys the rest of their week.
Later, folks.